Hi, I'm Suzanne Gose, the creator of Spanish Geniuses and Flip Flop Spanish, homeschooling mom of 5, 2 graduates so far, and I get to talk to you about Break It Down. So I learned how to be a good teacher from teaching in public school for sure. The degree definitely helped, like classroom management, learning styles, methodologies, all that kind of stuff. So that degree was excellent for me in the public schools. When I started teaching homeschoolers, my first baby was 9 months old, and I had all this freedom to teach however I wanted. And these kids really wanted to learn, which was brand new to me, because in the public school, that wasn't the case, at least for 7th and 8th graders. Every once in a while you get one, but typically you were fighting, like you were trying to entertain them and hoping to get through. So when I started teaching homeschool classes and I had these eager learners that were excited, and then they were very different learners too. They didn't know how to just follow the factory. So I learned how to give a lot of instruction in a short amount of time. I only had 1 hour a week, and that those trainings, those tips and tricks, that habit forming that I have as a teacher, then carried over to teaching my own children at home. So teaching a foreign language is overwhelming and daunting for the student, for the family, and for the teacher. You're trying to absorb all this stuff, and it's a totally different animal than math, science, and history. You're either learning how something works and how to apply it, or memorizing of facts, and things like that. This was very different. So today I'm going to talk to you about break it down. Break it down is a phrase I use all the time in my classes. Okay, let's break it down so that they can see how the language works together. What are they trying to say? What are they understanding? And that simple idea of break it down carried over into all of our homeschooling lessons, from history, science, everything, every subject, especially math, especially when we get frustrated. I would say break it down. And so my training in teaching Spanish is now not only helping me, but now it's going to help you with 5 really easy things to say and why it works. So follow along on your paper, jot down whenever you think, oh, this is going to be something I can use for this subject. But mostly these are just phrases which will change the way you think, because it changes the way you talk. So let's go and see what those 5 phrases are. Okay, break it down, also known as keep it chunky and light. I already said that. Okay. Oh, and there's my logo. Flip Flop Spanish, Spanish Geniuses. Okay, oh, I already said a little bit of okay, so I've been married for 25 years to my high school sweetheart. So this is us in 2015. So this is about 7 years ago, back when I was really in the thick of things. Former public school teacher turned curriculum creator. 24 years, okay, so I did do the math. And I'm a homesteader, yes. So if you need to know about chickens, look at all my chickens. Then I will help you about chickens, goats, turkeys, ducks. Farming, not so much. Gardening, I can do gardening. Okay, so now you know a little bit about me. I do have a degree in this stuff. But the main thing is the experience, right? That's what we always want to know about, is the experience that other homeschool moms have. How can we learn? And all right, so when we break it down, there's 5 main sayings, 5 main phrases that you're going to be wanting to use to help your student break it down in all the different subjects. So these are tips that you can use whenever you're thinking, oh, I'm overwhelmed, or I don't know how to teach this well. These are the phrases you can use. So you need to say, keep it chunky and light, to yourself and to them. You want to chunk out things as far as getting through a lesson. Say it with me. That's a great phrase that helps them, as with Spanish especially. They're always going to say it with me, but anything that we're trying. Try once more. Explain the first part again. And okay, now what's next? So I have the taco over there because look at all the different bits and pieces, but you can see each bit and piece and how it builds up into this beautiful, yummy bite. Now I'm hungry for tacos. But that's what our education is. If you think about it in every little bit, then you say, oh, well, that's not too bad. You put it together and it creates this wonderful experience. So remembering that every little bit is important to the full bite. Talking about education and tacos, but education as a whole. Here's the first phrase. So I have the picture there of the vegetables. Those are not super appetizing all by themselves. But keep it chunky and light. You say, okay, I'm just going to focus on the tomato. It's not this huge full 7-course meal. You're just cutting the tomato. And so that kind of idea is what I want you to think of. You want small bits. Every bit of education, think on that part. Pull out, what do we actually need to do next? One step at a time. Think about making things easy to digest. So if you're talking about math and fractions, every time something gets flustered or frustrating, you back it up and say, okay, do you understand that what 1/4 is? Can you talk to me about what this number on top means? What does the number on bottom mean? So keep it easy to understand so it doesn't look like this huge fancy cake or this gigantic enchilada that has all these flavors mixed together. Just the tomato, just the onion, whatever it is, one thing at a time. Keep it chunky and light means it's not going to be overwhelming. You're not going to be overwhelmed, and the child's not going to be overwhelmed. When you feel that way, that's when you say, okay, let's keep it chunky and light. What part can we focus on right now? It's extremely motivating whenever you see, oh, just this little bit? Okay, you can do that. So that's why flashcards are so important. Anytime you get frustrated with a class or a subject matter, grab a flashcard. What can you write? What can you fit on this tiny little thing? This one little box, look how tiny and easy, but it can hold quite a bit of information. So if you're studying history, can you just put one event, one name, one year, one date? What can you put on here that's nice and chunky and light? Well, do you know who Winston Churchill was? Oh gosh, maybe I don't. Flip it over, write it down. Write a few things about who he was, what did he do, what was his position. So this is way easier to digest than a gigantic history volume. All the ins and outs of World War I or World War II. Okay, break it down. How? How do we break it down? You can break it down by a page. You can say, let's just look at this page. Maybe you need to break it down by a paragraph. Let's just look at this one paragraph. Sometimes there's one word in the paragraph that is causing the child or you or the group to be flustered. Or that one word keeps on coming up and they're not quite sure what it means. It's one of the beauties of our homeschool is our children they've always been really good at saying, wait, I don't know what that means. I find that amazing. In public school, nobody would ever stop to admit confusion or I don't know a word, I don't know vocabulary. They would just go on hoping that they'll get it around the next day or the next hour or whatever. They would pretend like they knew everything to protect their reputation in front of the classroom. You might have to break it down by one math problem, by one portion of a math problem. Maybe it's a topic. So as you're looking at chemistry, you're saying, oh, I understand this part, but I don't understand the molecular part. So is it a topic that is giving them trouble that they can break it down to? And then a time limit. Sometimes when you're working through something, when you're trying to understand something, or they feel stuck, or there's that feeling of frustration, you say, you know what? We're setting the timer for 5 minutes. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we're moving on. So these are all ways to break down. So think about your hardest subject right now with your hardest kid and say, how can I break it down? And choose one of those things. Or write down all of them, circle all of them, and say, I need to break it down, each subject into these bits. Say it with me. Now with Spanish, this really affected how I teach every class. This is great. So if I say, okay, just say it with me, and I'll say it, and sometimes they don't say it with me, that's okay, because they're listening. And the next time say, can you say it with me? Repeat, please. Listening requires very little effort on the kid's part. Like, look at that picture. The daddy is reading the book to the kids, and are they looking at the book? No, they're looking up at his face. And so that happens a lot. As you're reading to your child, their face is looking at your face because they're looking for solidarity. They're looking for comfort. They're looking to see, what are you saying? How is your mouth moving? What are you feeling? They're looking at you for safety, for assurance. And all they have to do is listen. But you'll say it. They don't say it with you the first time. Then you go, say it with me. And then they do. And that does something to the brain. That helps them to absorb it. So even if they don't quite understand everything, that's an inroad to the neurons to saying, we're going to get this, whatever this hard topic is. If you mess up, if they mess up, it doesn't relax them. But if you mess up, oh, that's so wonderful for them. That gives them permission to mess up. Like here I am, I'm messing up a lot with, I'm getting excited and I'll trip over my words. I'm not going to edit it all out because when I mess up, that helps you to go, oh, she also doesn't have it all together. And that gives you confidence to try something new. If you do everything perfectly, then that means you're not learning a thing. So the mess ups are where you're really growing. And that reminds the student, I can mess up too. So don't worry about not being able to say something or read something or pronounce something correctly, or you don't know something. Read it out loud. Let them read along with you. Put their finger on the words. You put your finger on the word. You're going together and doing it. When you mess up, that's good. Isn't that refreshing? Having cover removes anxiety. So having the cover of your voice. So if they're trying to say a new word in a foreign language or in history or in science, or they're just sounding out a word, phonetically, and they're trying to work on whatever it is that's causing the anxiety, having your voice cover their voice gives them that confidence. It will remove their anxiety. Say it with me. Repetition is confidence building. Sometimes they're like, I don't want to say it again, Mom. We're just going to say it 2 more times, okay? And so you might say the whole sentence again. You might say the same math problem. It's multiplication fact, division fact, addition fact, whatever it is. Repetition goes, okay, now I got this. And again, it helps those neurons to move things from short-term memory into long-term memory, that's what learning is, isn't it? Otherwise, that's why I got straight A's in history, because I put it in short-term memory. I didn't repeat it. The teachers didn't repeat it, and I didn't actually ever learn it. I just got straight A's. But I didn't understand history, and it didn't affect my life at all. But I was a straight A student. Repeat the things. Repeat the things again and again, especially the things that are worthwhile. Try once more. Try once more is super important because you have to stick to the idea of x plus 1. X plus 1 is you're just trying to get them to do the next level up. Where they are is x. We use this in math. We use this in especially language learning. So if they start with no knowledge whatsoever, I don't want to start speaking fluently to them. The idea of immersion works if you have a foundation. But if you just throw the kid into, watch this movie, they're going to come out of it having watched the movie but know zero Spanish. They have to have a foundation of listen for this particular word, maybe just one word. So x plus 1 gives them that one step. If you do x again and again and again, that's boring. They don't want to do that. Like they don't want to learn their colors and numbers again. You need to give them that one level to reach, one rung up. So when I say try once more, that's pushing them because they say, okay, obviously they've tried and they failed. So they had a little brother here helping his big brother helping the little brother on the bike. You fall off. You don't want to get back on because why? You're scared you're going to fall again. And you're scared you're going to fall every single time. Same with getting a math problem wrong. Same with reading a word wrong. Same with not quite remembering what history thing happened when and where. Same with not knowing which state is which state. Geography, all the different subjects. They don't want to try again because they don't want to be wrong again. And that's the fear. You say just once more, they know, okay, I might fail, but I can handle failing one more time and then stick to it. So model it. So this little boy, if his little brother was falling off again and again, he'd say, okay, you get off, stay on the sidewalk, and watch me. So if you say it correctly, 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 5 is 15. And the kid's like, okay, can you try it once more? Yes, ma'am. 3 times 5 is 15. So if they hear what they did wrong from earlier, maybe they said 3 times 5 is 12. And you're like, oh, come on, try once more. Then you give them the correct thing, the correct answer, so they can hear the difference between what they said and what you said. Just once more. If they don't get it, and they're like, I know you said it like 5 seconds ago, but I don't remember. You say, well, what it was 3 times 5 is 15. And then move on. Don't keep going. The training of try once more is enough. If they're fearful of failing, you don't want to create that confirmation that, yeah, that fear was solid, man. You're going to fail every single time. No, you said once. They did it once. Move on to the next part. Okay, we can try again later. That allows the ability to marinate. Marinating is where you gave them an idea, you gave them a fact or some information, they heard some new vocabulary words from Spanish or otherwise, and they didn't quite get it. They tried it, but they didn't quite get it. You come back the next day and they go, I feel like I already know this, because they've marinated a little bit. So the next attempt, they're successful. That muscle memory has started to take place. So you're not going to all get it on that day. You're not going to get it during that first new lesson. And you have to give up, quote unquote. You're not giving up. You're just trying only once more. And so you tried the once more, you have to move on, come back to it the next day, and what do you know? It's easier. Muscle memory is happening. So this is when you've gotten to, say the first part again, you've gotten to the end of your rope. The confusion, I just don't get algebra, or I just don't get pre-cal, or whatever it is. I just don't get it. If it's writing, reading, whatever it is, and they've gotten to that part, and they're so far into it, you don't even know where did the disconnect happen. And so what you want to do now is kind of go back. The way you go back, without saying we need to go back, because that's very disappointing and demotivating for a child. We're not going to say, oh, we have to go back to the beginning. We're going to say, okay, we'll just say the first part again. And they'll say something that they remembered from yesterday. You say, no, before that. And then they say, okay, well, I know this part also. I learned that before that. Okay, wait, what's before that, though? And then when they go, well, this was before that. Was it easy at that point? These are the questions you're going to ask, because you're reviewing them. You're helping their brain to go back into the history, all the different archived information that happened however many months ago, weeks ago. It's back there. And you're asking the questions rather than telling them what they remember, telling them what they should remember. No, we're asking the questions. Say the first part again. Go back before that, step by step by step. So the pictures we have here is a pen, somebody writing once upon a time. But before that, they had to learn their letters way back. So, and before they even wrote their letters, they were tracing their letters with their finger. This is the idea. At some point, your student was confident and eager to learn whatever this topic is, whatever the struggle is. If you keep going back and by asking, not by telling, then they're going to get to that point. And I say, okay, was it easy at that point? No, ma'am, it still wasn't easy. Okay, well, what about before that? What do you remember before that? I don't know. All right, and at that point, you might have to get the book out or the binder or refresh their memory. All right, last slide, last phrase. Okay, what's next? So you've gotten through, you've given them a chance to do once more. You've gotten to get them to go backwards in their memory and remember what they do know. And so there's been some success. There's been breaks. There's been chances for you to figure out where the frustration occurred and how do we achieve it. So once they remember what they remembered, okay, I do remember when it was easy. Okay, good. What's next? Maybe it's just more practice. Maybe you have to do the same thing tomorrow. You have to stay where you were. What's next could be literally anything. So we have the student here, right? The child is looking at the map. The child is going to tell you what they need to do next. You need to let them answer. Instead of saying, what we're going to do next is, let them answer. If they're looking at a textbook, they might say, oh, well, what's next is, and they look to the next chapter. They just look down and they say, oh, we're going to do this. Or they might say, how about a quick break? That's okay. That allows for marinating. Maybe it's like, yeah, I can go on to the next problem. I'm ready to try the next math problem. Maybe, you know what? We're done with chemistry. We're done with history. We're done with math. Let's do the next subject. Let's do literature or art or music. And that's okay. So you're asking them. Now, I'm not saying this with 5-year-olds. I don't believe 5-year-olds should even be sitting at the table. I'm saying, 9, 10, 11-year-olds that have opinions on what they want to learn. What's next? And then my favorite is always, my second born would always say, a snack? Yes. If he suggests a snack, it's always a good thing. Because that, again, will fire the neurons and help them take things from short-term memory into long-term memory. So hopefully this will help you to break it down, keep it chunky and light, and recognize that, the way I taught foreign language, the way I teach foreign language, with these simple phrases that I use again and again and again, like, okay, let's keep it chunky and light, say it with me, try once more, explain that first part again, and okay, now what's next? If you get these 5 phrases and use them over and over in your lesson time, you're going to see that these kinds of questions, these references will help you to be a more effective teacher and will start training your child to also learn how to break things down for themselves in the future. That's it. I'm Senora Gose. If I see you later on Spanish Geniuses today for our live session, or if you hear my voice on your See It and Say It Flip Flop Spanish, you're going to hear me say, okay, let's break it down. And I hope that will help you to also break it down for all your different subjects, and it gives you a nice refresh this winter time to get your semester going and going strong. 2 graduates so far, and I'm enjoying All right. Okay. Coffee's probably cold.